want to tell you a story now about a brave Canadian who is risking his life in a fight for justice. His name is Daniel Bellemare. First, a bit of background. 4 years ago, a huge bomb exploded in the heart of Beirut, killing Lebanon's former Prime Minister Rafik Hariri. Yet another assassination in a country ravaged by political violence. That's where Bellemare comes in. His job to find and to prosecute the killers. The CBC's Nahlah gained extraordinary access for this special report. Nahlah.
Peter, you really had to be here to understand the extent of the outrage after Hariri's murder. Week after week, we went out to watch as bigger and bigger crowds gathered to demand the truth, that someone be held accountable. It was so overwhelming that the United Nations promised an investigation. And just over a year ago, a Canadian took charge of one of the most complex murder investigations in the world and instantly became one of the most threatened men on the planet. The story we're going to tell you tonight is an exclusive look at the incredible security it takes to protect Daniel Bellemare as he hunts for the killers. You'll see that we've obscured the faces of many of the people in this piece for their own safety. The assassination capital of the Middle East. And VIPs have only one choice: commandeer the streets and gun it for dear life. Lebanon's history is driven by targeted killings, precise hits on marked men on the move. Perpetrators slip into the bustle with impunity. Potential targets do anything to elude them. But even the most extraordinary security precautions can fail. Former Prime Minister Rafik Hariri had the best money could buy. Yet this is how his life ended. Valentine's Day, 2005. 1,800 kilograms of TNT tore his convoy to shreds, ending an era of relative stability in Lebanon and upending the entire region. Lebanese were outraged. Many blamed Syria, their longtime political master. They demanded justice, the truth, someone for once be held accountable. The United Nations established an unprecedented commission to investigate.
I think this is probably the most high-profile investigation in the world. It is a complex investigation. What I'm concerned with, focused on, is to get to the bottom of it, to get to the truth.
The man hotly in pursuit of that truth is Daniel Bellemare, Quebec native and retired head of Canada's Federal Prosecution Service. His mission: to investigate Hariri's murder and 20 other bombings and assassinations, then prosecute. That makes Bellemare a marked man.
Those crimes were not committed by ghosts or by Martians. I mean, there's actual people that did that, and those people are still around. So they're not a particular fan of ours, and that would be the reason why they would like us to not to be as present, let's put it this way.
And so Bellemare moves like a marked man, his armored car flanked by a swarm of others to deflect attack. He allowed me to ride next to him. The mood is tense.
It's a healthy reminder when you see the helmets here and the life jackets. I mean, this is not just for show. I mean, this is reality.
Leo Powell is in charge of Bellemare's security.
The convoys, the movement of personnel by road within the country or even in neighboring countries, it is our greatest nightmare as security professionals, because we've seen historically in the last 3 years that all of the attacks that we're investigating have happened in movement between the workplace and the residents.
And virtually all have yet to be solved. The spate of bombings started in 2004, the victims most often critics of Syria. Damascus denied involvement, and its Lebanese supporters came to its defense. So Lebanon split into two rival camps, seemed destined for another civil war. The wedge, the political lightning rod, was the UN investigation.
We're aware of the political issues surrounding us, of course. We navigate through that. But at the end of the day, my process is a legal process, and my team is not influenced, nor am I, by political consideration. This is what independence is about.
In reality, the Commission had to carefully watch its every move. still work closely with local authorities in spite of the potential pitfalls in such a divided country. Closer to Bellemare's home, for example, the Lebanese army acts as gatekeeper and protector, irrespective of the political undercurrents.
Thank you. Frankly, failure is not an option. We have to move forward. We have to break this case.
To do that, the chief investigator also lives like a marked man in a virtual fortress high in the mountains, a 4-star resort turned into Lebanon's Fort Knox. Monteverde Hotel is under 24-hour surveillance, defended by a small army. We were allowed unprecedented access.
It's more restricted than I would have thought.
Bellemare's arrival in early 2008 was his first to the Middle East.
One of my biggest regrets is not to be able to go downtown, to meet people, to talk to them. I could learn so much.
A dangerous luxury, he says, so he moves only when he has to. Even on his short walks, a constant shadow follows. Few here are guarded as closely.
Within the international community, the UN being a part of that body, he is by far facing the highest threat. This is by far the safest UN facility in the system.
It's quite restrained here, you know. But I mean, you get used to it. A human being is quite resilient, especially when you remember why you're here for. This is the key thing. We're here to help. We're here to do a job, and that's what we're doing.
A job that's beyond just one man. So for years now, this hotel has also been the investigation's headquarters, home and workplace for dozens of investigators and experts. Bellemare did bring new momentum to the investigation, importing dozens more specialists in everything from polygraph to forensics. They've amassed more than 1,000 interviews and more than 10,000 pieces of evidence.
So, do you think we got a chance to find some fingerprints or DNA on it? Or?
Yeah, I think we can send it for analysis.
Absolutely. So could we prepare?
Canadian Yves Roy was a cop for 25 years, knows the killers were no amateurs.
Very professional, very well organized, have all the means to do it in a flash of time. They know what they're doing. There's no doubt about it.
This is the engine of one. This is the part of another one.
The killer's handiwork serves as a grisly reminder.
This shows the power of the explosions. It's quite humbling when you look at these things, and it does remind you, refocus you of the purpose and the purpose of the mission.
But where there is purpose, there is also frustration. Dead ends, questionable witnesses. But most damaging is that some evidence was removed from the Hariri crime scene, and it was weeks before the scene was even covered to protect from the elements.
For the protection against
Senior investigator Yves Roy.
This is what is very difficult for us because we take for granted back home, it's sealed, it's protected, and you got control of the crime scene immediately. Here we were still finding things months and months after.